welcome everyone to what is going to be the epilogue for this campaign. This is our final Hereticus episode for now, at least. Who knows? Maybe we'll revisit the acolytes at some point in the future. But for now, this is the end of the line for this campaign. Um, I think we might as well just um, head straight to a recap. Uh, Chris, what happened last time?
Well, last month on Hereticus, it has been a while.
It has.
Our intrepid acolytes aboard the Imperator Inquis cruisers. It was a cruiser, wasn't it?
It was a cruiser, yes.
Responded to a general alarm going throughout the ship and made our way to the main bridge, where it was discovered that our vessel was being intercepted, funnily enough, by a small flotilla of Dark Eldar ships. We suspect this might have been due to the rooms we found placed there by the treacherous Trina Holster. It was decided after a little bit of debate that the best option for us would be to attempt to jump to a randomized location away from the ships and then make a second jump onward to our original destination of Watch Fortress Glorian. As we put the plan into motion, Imperial fighters brought us time by fighting off the interceptors sent by the Dark Eldar trying to harry us, and they did a fantastic job. But in the end, a few boarding torpedoes of Dark Eldar did manage to get through and penetrate our ship, one of which did end up on the bridge. So, for most of the last session, the group spent fighting off this boarding party, doing a fair bit of damage to them, and receiving quite a bit of damage in return.
It got quite hairy.
Yes, even the otherwise usually invincible Sister Francesca nearly keeled over from this particular one. Accolon had his leg broken, pretty much. Medea, despite taking quite a bit of damage, enjoyed herself immensely because she enjoys fighting and she still can't feel any pain. And Prudentia made a better account of herself this time around, but still was pretty banged up by the end, as were her two cybermastiffs, her robo
But in
doggos.
fairness, though, those two dogs probably saved the captain and the
Navigator.
And the navigator, at least helped save them.
Yes, that was very important. And we held them off long enough for the Deathwatch kill team that we were travelling with to finish up their business dealing with another group of boarders and come to our assistance to pick off the remainder of the Dark Eldar on bridge. Useful. Then we all got a bit patched up, bantered a bit, continued on our journey, making the jumps, arrived at Watch Fortress Glorian, did some more banter. Everyone just talks about this, that, and the other thing. I remember that it was... what was the first name? Watch Brother Kaikor, the Tech Marine Black Templar of that kill team, mentioned to Prudentia that he would be interested in working with her on a project that he's currently in the middle of, but again, up to her. And the last thing we did before we finished the session was that we all ended up in the Imperator Inquisitor's teleportarium and teleported down to Watch Fortress Glorian with the ever important and very dangerous Iriax shards.
Yes. So one thing I want to add is that prior to this assault by the Dark Eldar, you had been training the security forces on the cruiser.
Yes.
And this actually proved rather vital because they basically kept the path clear for the Deathwatch kill team to for them to reach you in time. I think if you'd had to deal with the Dark Eldar another round or two, you might have been in serious trouble. But because
Yes.
of the training you'd provided, they were the defense forces were able to keep the path clear for the kill team to reach the bridge and and provide the necessary assistance. It's just a detail, but it is an important one because
Yeah,
much of what happened last time and the success of it was because of the groundwork you'd done previously. So yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened last time, and I just need to ping Aya to see if she's here. AJ, are you with us?
don't sound like it.
Seems like it's a no. Okay, cool. Hopefully she'll join us soon. So yeah, you guys, you used the teleportarium on board the what's the name of the ship? Imperator Inquis.
Inquis.
Um,
You should know. You're the GM, for God's sake.
well, I did know. I just
Yeah, it's just a momentary lapse.
I just had to yeah.
You did know, you just had to remember.
I just had to check the journal entry.
Yes,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen of the listening audience, this is a service announcement. Please excuse our GM as his memory fades in his ever-increasing old age.
Yes, indeed, old age is a thing.
Unfortunately, but you know.
Yeah, what can you do?
Will you be quiet, you young hoodlum?
Never was there a more appropriate thing said. Again, why do I have to be? Why do I have to be the youngest player in this band of misfits? Why is that a thing?
Well, someone has to.
Someone has to be, I suppose.
Someone
Yeah.
has to. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So eventually, you guys, well, you teleport down to Watch Fortress Glorian, and I don't remember if I described the Watch Fortress last time, but it is comprised almost entirely of training halls, uh, sleeping quarters for the Space Marines whenever they're not out on active duty. Um, Cathedrals are also very much a thing on this Watch Fortress, and of course their vast armory, because if there's anything the Death Watch needs, it's guns and guns and more guns.
And the occasional chainsword.
And the,
Yeah.
and the occasional chainsword, yes.
What we need is a gun that fires chainswords.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, what is it? One of the sacred edicts listed in the Space Marine, in many Space Marine media from 1.000 just reads firepower, always firepower.
Yes, indeed. And the Death Watch has plenty of that. But they do, however, they do have a section of the Watch Fortress that is reserved for reserved for regular humans, because if there's anything the Space Marines are not, it is regular.
Oh no.
So rooms and quarters sized for you guys. The thing about the Death Watch is that it is very much associated with the Inquisition, and they often have inquisitors and their retinues visiting for various reasons, or other dignitaries, or rogue traders, or whoever else has an excuse to be present in a Watch Fortress. So and they need to be they need to have accommodation somewhere.
Of course.
So you also get you get your chambers and you get your privacy. Everything else other than your quarters is sized for the Space Marines. So yeah.
Yep. We feel tiny.
Yep. So to be fair, the main corridors of this Watch Fortress are huge, but that is often the case with imperial structures in the 41st millennium.
Yeah.
But
they are compensating in some way, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. So, but yeah, it is the Watch Fortress is of course designed in such a way that it makes it accommodates the Space Marines first and foremost. I think the first thing you probably need to do, or the Space Marines need to do, is hide away the shards.
Absolutely.
That is absolutely, that's actually why you're there in the first place.
Yes, I think we should oversee that as well.
Yeah, so you're more than welcome to. They don't have a problem with
The We have reliquaries here where they would be able to keep these things safer than they would be anywhere else in the Imperium short of Holy Terra. And we're not bringing these things to Holy Terra,
No,
which is not.
no.
No. I mean, you know, it's Holy Terra is sacred and must be protected at all costs. It's not like there's, you know, a giant warp rift buried under the Imperial Palace that the Adeptus Custodes need to be keeping watch over 24 hours of the day.
Shush, heretic. We do not speak of such things.
Blam, blam, blam.
Oh, what I really wanted to go there.
Maybe one day, young one. Maybe one day.
Already been there.
Yeah. Cool.
Wanker.
Cool. So and
Only if you will stamp the inquisitorial seal on my grundle, to quote Brother Alphabutus.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness me. Yes. Grace my grundle with the burning brand of the inquisitorial rosette. No. So yes, we get back to this, back to Watch Fortress Glorian, where sanity holds
Indeed.
sway.
That is all is relative.
Yes. Okay. Mhm.
But yeah, you do get to oversee the storing away of these items in one of the many reliquaries in the Watch Fortress. It is a very religious affair, as many as the chaplains that are present on Watch Fortress area chant litanies of various natures as these things are sealed away, and the chambers that the shards are sealed away in are protected by various wards, purity seals, and similar stuff to protect them against whatever the enemy has to throw at them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Anything short of a Black Crusade isn't going to get to those things now.
Indeed.
Don't tempt them.
But yeah, you do get the sense after all this is done that the shards are in, as like you said, nothing's going to get at them at this point.
Yeah.
And even if it does, the Watch Fortress is far enough away from anything important to the Inquisition and the Imperium that, while not an acceptable loss, it is perhaps the lesser of the perhaps the best of the possible scenarios if the enemy does get
Should get to, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But if they get, I mean, the point being, if they get far enough into Watch Fortress, you know, to reach the reliquaries, this thing is blowing up anyway.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. I'd say that's the second time that either of you has renamed the Watch Fortress in the last 5 minutes.
Sorry.
Watch Fortress Glorian.
Gloria. No, it's Heine started.
Yes,
Heine started the precedent, so you're fine. Neither of you. It's fine. So yes, but Watch Fortress Glorian.
Watch Fortress Glorian. But yeah. So that's the feeling you're left with after the religious hubbubaloo is over and done with, and so the Space Marines more or less go back to their daily work, which is as long as they're in the Watch Fortress, it is all about training for their next assignment, and meditation, fasting, and all of the stuff that goes with being a servant of the Emperor. So yeah, there is one thing. Well, so is there anything specific you guys want to do at the Watch Fortress? Prue, I'll get to you in a bit because as Chris said during the recap, Watch Brother Kaikor does need your input on something. But the rest of you, is there anything you want to do specifically while at the Watch Fortress?
Well, two things.
Okay.
First, she wants to visit the cathedral and take in and probably sing there because Sisters of Battle and hymns and singing and so on.
That's the thing.
But once she has taken part in probably a very, very long mass, because Space Marines don't see the Emperor as a god; they see him as granddad more than anything else. But there are servitors and whatever here as well, and for them, so she would probably take part in one of the non-Marine services because what they do is for them only, I guess.
That's the thing is absolutely their thing are for them alone, and they don't invite any of you to join them.
No, and that is absolutely understandable. So she would take part in any services held for the non-marine servitors, or not servitors because they're mindless, but
Yep.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
yeah, absolutely.
And she would be after she's done that, she would avail herself of any librarians that they have present that she's allowed to actually visit and use, because these guys will have information about chaos and and about any threat out there, for that matter, far in excess of anything she's had her hands on yet.
Yep. To anyone who might not know what Joan means by librarians, and I'm assuming that at least that you are referring to the Space Marine version of librarians.
No, I mean librarium.
Librarium. Okay, I heard librarian. So
no. So sorry, that was probably me being unclear. No, I mean they have libraries here full of books and tomes and scrolls and cogitators and shit that probably includes information that would, in any other location in the Imperium, would mean that the person reading it would have their eyeballs burnt out with acid, and then the holes would be filled with molten silver.
Yes, indeed. And while there are some librarians you're not granted access to, you're absolutely,
of course.
There are also some where you're free to roam and do whatever you like. So absolutely. And okay, cool. So what about Akalon? What's he up to?
I think he'd quite like to. Just spend some time with Medea, make sure that she's doing okay, because he's not had much of a chance to keep up with his. He got a good thing going in regards to helping her with matters of faith and giving it a personal touch. And he's not had much of a chance to do that recently. So now that there's kind of a moment to breathe, he'd like to sort of focus on, if Medea will allow him to.
Yeah.
But we'll deal with that, I think, if and when I rejoins us. So other than that, I think he would also avail himself of the cathedral.
Okay.
On the basis that it's his faith in the Emperor that's kept him alive and kept him sane as long as it has, and it would be poor form, especially in such a sacred place as this, to forget that.
Certainly. Yeah, absolutely. You're also free to make use of the some of the Watch Fortress's facilities. Absolutely.
Yes, of course.
Cool. Awesome. Aya, have you joined us? Doesn't sound like it. I'll just ping her and see.
Yeah.
I think we can probably assume that if she rejoins us, she's probably going to let us know in some form.
Yeah, that is. I'll just ping her just in case, and
yeah, of course.
We'll but cool. So,
cool.
Prue, at some point shortly after your arrival at the Watch Fortress, you are approached by Watch Brother Kaikor, he was the tech marine of the kill team that you were with.
Yes, he was some sort of fanatic dude, right?
Yes. So all Space Marines are fanatic to some extent or another, but these are ultra extremists.
Even for Space Marines, these guys are far out.
Yes, and this is not by virtue of his being a Tech Marine. This is by him being a Black Templar. He belongs to the Black Templars chapter of Space Marines, and they are super extreme in their views. But he is a Tech Marine, which means that he does have a different outlook entirely than his Black Templars brothers might have. A more logical approach to the idea of extremism, which is weird, but
He's a logical extremist.
yes, he's exactly, he's a logical extremist.
He's managed to make his extremism seem logical to himself.
Yes, indeed, and he rationalizes everything that goes on.
That's dangerous too.
It is very dangerous. But he does contact you shortly after your arrival. You by this point the shards have been locked away in some reliquary or another. That's a weird word. And you're also free to do whatever you want. And he approaches you and invites you to join him in what's the word I'm looking for? In his workshop.
Oh, that would be an honor.
Indeed, and you go there, and so his workshop is it's an entire floor of the Watch Fortress dedicated wholly to matters of the Omnissiah, uh, and um, and he immediately takes you to an area of his workshop where he has it's basically a vast array of sensors, and he looks Prue does indeed have a date. um, he looks down at you and says, "This is my latest project. It is I am expanding and upgrading our sensor arrays so as to better detect our enemies. And I am wondering if you would like to join me in this."
Of course. How can I be of assistance?
You can provide any input you may have as regards my progress so far. You may examine my array and indicate if there's anything you would do differently. Normally, I would seek the counsel of my fellow Tech Marines here in the Watch Fortress. Unfortunately, they are currently on active duty, and I simply cannot wait for them to return before finishing this. So you are a backup, if you will.
I shall be happy to lend you my expertise.
Excellent. There is one thing about this array that I find lacking in its current state, and that is the ability to detect the warp, the materium, and the energies of the materium that seep into our reality, and that is also something I wish your input on, if you have any. I see you have some cyber mastiffs with you.
I do.
Do you need those cyber mastiffs?
I tend to use them in combat.
You use them in combat, you say? So dismantling them and examining them is out of the question then.
Out of character, would that be allowed? I don't know many of the rules after all.
So if a tech marine says dismantle this, normal people would dismantle whatever it was in a heartbeat. But you're not everyone. So
Point being, of course, that you should also be able to construct new ones fairly easily if
indeed. But whether or not you wish for that to happen is entirely up to Prue. And you have a sense that the tech marine would respect whatever choice you make.
Yes. Do you see Prue as being sentimental?
Indeed.
You may deconstruct them.
This pleases me.
I should be able to reconstruct them or construct others. Should
Perhaps
I
we
need
might
them.
even improve on them.
That would be beneficial.
Yes. I might be able to help.
I should welcome the help.
Anyway, would you mind directing them onto the platform over there? He says and indicates a platform.
She does so.
Cool. He moves over to a series of cogitator banks and starts doing various things that only he knows. He basically jacks into the system and off he goes into whatever tech religious stuff he does. And you place them on the platform, and he returns to stand by your side, and he says, I must admit, I feared for a moment there that you would decline my requests to have them dismantled.
I saw no reason to. As I said, I can easily construct more.
This is good. This is as it should be. I've also learned, however, that tech priests have faulty emulators, occasionally at least, that allow them to feel attachment to the technology they utilize. And I have met such tech priests in the past, and it pleases me that you are not one such tech priest.
Ah, well, the implication that I'm not faulty certainly pleases me as well.
Yes. Shall we dismantle?
After you.
Cool. And so we basically have a scene, or we see Watch Brother Kaikor and Prue dismantle these the hounds, and basically what he wants is to incorporate the idea of their enhanced senses into the sensor array. The sensor array is already a highly advanced piece of equipment, but he has this idea that by emulating the senses that the cybermasters have, which themselves are a sort of emulation of regular canines, you might be able to improve on it, and he has some ideas of how to basically incorporate that into his existing work, and hopefully be able to open up to the warp and be able to better detect the great enemy. So that's basically what we see Prue and Watch Brother Kaikor do for the foreseeable future. This is something that takes a while, and I'm going to assume at least that unless Prue actively stops him or stops the process, it is something that she'll be spending weeks, if not months on.
I don't see why she would. She may, or she is going to ask a ton of questions, but I don't imagine that that's going to be an issue.
No, absolutely. So
she's very much there to learn.
Yeah, and the Tech Marine Kaikor is more than willing to answer questions in the logical way that he answers questions, which I I imagine is something that pleases Prue.
Yes, I think actually the others might experience that Prue gets less aware of social cues and the like the longer she spends with this guy, because it's so liberating not having to think about all that.
I'm sure.
I mean, she spent a lot of time with the Arbites, that's the name, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I would think so.
And there she found out that it was easy. It eased things if she adhered to social conventions, but that doesn't seem to be the case here.
No, absolutely not. And I imagine that at some points during this whole deal, you two become so engrossed in what it is you're doing and the conversation you're having that you basically go into what's the word I'm using for the Techmarine language.
Machine cant?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, what we hear is I imagine just you guys emitting sounds somewhat similar to a 56K modem.
I like it.
Binary ticking.
Yeah.
The most horrifying noise. And
Yep.
constant dial-up.
Yep.
Damn it. But it's highly precise, that's the point.
Yep, it is, and that's exactly the point, is that you don't waste your time communicating with each other with a language you don't need to. You're very precise, you're very methodic, and yeah. So that's the thing.
See, if he wasn't Kim Gelded and she wasn't her, this would be totally romantic.
I will admit, when he said, "So shall we start dismantling?" I was imagining him taking his armor off. His perfect muscular form.
God, give me a no. I will never be able to shed that mental image. Horrible
funny.
person.
That's funny.
Yes, this campaign has brought out my more sadistic side, I've found, when it comes to mental imagery. So
that's funny. Cool. So you spend quite a bit of time in at this Watch Fortress, and that goes for you all, really. And Sister Francesca, you gain all sorts of insight into the great enemy, and also because this is the Death Watch, and its focus is on the Xenos, and
Of course.
so you're also able to glean all sorts of things from that.
About them.
Yes, indeed. And so here's the thing. For those of you who are studying in the librariums, I'll give you access to Forbidden Law Warp and Forbidden Law Xenos. If you don't already have it, if you do have it, you get a +10 to it. And if you
Very
have a +10,
nice.
then you get a +20.
Wow, Forbidden Law Warp, you said, and
Xenos.
And Xenos. Let's have a look.
I think I've got Forbidden Law Warp.
And this may seem a bit because this is the epilogue, but who knows? Maybe in the future we'll revisit.
Yeah, we never know.
No, I don't have that. Okay.
So and it goes for you as well, Akalon. If you want to spend time in the librariums, you can also.
Yep, that would absolutely. The point is that Akalon does like to continue to try and learn things, but at this point he's become clear to him that he is his role as an acolyte is more leaning towards that of being a battle psyker. So while it's useful for him to have information, he's also going to be trying to train his skills in combat more from now on.
Right.
That's more his area. Otherwise, again, out of character, reflecting the fact that we went down his path, becoming a battle psyker rather than a scholarly psyker.
Mm-hmm.
It's also quite fun that the person who started out being the combat fortress of the group is now the one who's spending the most time in libraries of all of us.
Spending the most time nerding out with all sorts of
stuff. Well, to be a member of an elite special forces unit, you need to be very intelligent and learned, so it makes sense.
Indeed. Cool. So, and for Prue, I think you spending all this time with Watch Brother, Kaikor means that I see that your tech use is already at plus 20, but I want to say that if I'll give you a plus 10 bonus in addition whenever Prue is basically crafting stuff.
Cool.
So and this basically represents her spending so much time crafting alongside a tech marine. Cool. So eventually, though, the message comes in from Scintilla that your presence is requested back at the Tricorn.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
indeed,
Imperial, to quote Inquisitor here, the new computer game, Inquisitor Martyr. That's the way around. Yeah.
Yep.
This is imperial bureaucracy. It should take several standard years.
Yes. I love that they lampshade it even in universe like that.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, it does take several months for this message to reach you, but it's not uncommon in the 41st millennium for messages across the galaxy to take years, centuries even, before reaching their destination. So, but yeah, you do get the order to return to Scintilla.
Right. Yeah, but I guess that means we should find our way back. And hey, lo and behold, we have a cruiser.
Yep, you have a cruiser.
Yes.
You have a cruiser. Yes.
Oh, we're going to miss Watch Fortress Glorian. It was nice. It was nice out here. Some peaceful in a regimented and battle ready kind of way.
Yes, exactly. Battle ready is very much the thing here in the Watch
Mm-hmm.
Fortress. It is what the Space Marines live for. So yeah, definitely.
Yes, although I'm pretty sure that after a few months, even if they do their best to keep as far apart from each other as possible, I imagine Akalon and Watch Brother Kaiko will be glad to see the back of each other.
Yep, absolutely, and basically any Black Templars, Space Marine, who are present at the Watch Fortress will be
Popping a blood vessel in their head every time they see Akalon.
Yes, indeed.
I can just see these little storm clouds walking around. No, not storm wardens, storm clouds.
Yes. That's absolutely a thing. It is, and so yeah, cool. Sweet.
We have just gotten Aya back. So
that is good. That is excellent.
could you just quickly fill in on what's happened the past hour or so?
So yeah. First, I need to confirm that Aya is able to hear what I'm saying. AJ, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'll take that as a yes.
It was a yes. I said yeah.
Good. Excellent.
Sure. That has to count as a yes anyway.
Yes, indeed. So what's happened the last hour or so is that the acolytes arrived at the home of the Space Marines who were traveling with you. At the end of last session, you teleported there, and so we've basically just been doing a bit of finding out what you guys spent your time on while you're there.
Prue got a date.
Indeed, Prue did get a date.
It's
They dismantled and everything. So yeah.
Yes.
It was her and the tech marine were working together. It wasn't a date. It was just that they were working.
Oh, two tech marines.
Yes. Oh, it was so.
Make a joke out of that. What did one modem say to the other?
Yes, it was so oily.
It was.
What did the modem say to the other?
I feel nauseous right now. Just.
That's very fitting because that's how they ended up speaking towards the end.
Binary.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the sort of
they were using
machine count. Machine count. It does basically sound like modems, so like dial-up or binary being
binary transfer.
Holy crap!
Okay. Horrifying sound.
Yes.
I'm mostly surprised I then got the joke somewhat relevant.
Yeah.
You really did.
Yeah. One thing to consider if you want to talk about what Medea does in her spare time is that I mentioned that Accolon wanted to try and spend some more time with Medea in regards to the fact that obviously we had that thing several sessions ago where he was spending time engaging with her in matters of faith on a personal level and trying to trying to interact with her in a more friendly and personal manner, and he's not been doing that recently, so he'd like to try and make up for lost time, but only if Medea wants to. But obviously, Medea can do whatever you want her to. I'm just saying that's what Accolon's suggested.
She can do that,
Cool.
but she'll also be training a lot.
Yes, much training.
Well, there are several months on the on the station because we've been waiting for instructions for what to do next, and in the meantime, Prue had been working on that project with the Tech Marine, but we've been waiting for orders back from the Tricorn, and it took several months for those orders to arrive, saying that we need to go back to the Tricorn.
Yes.
Question, Heide.
Yes.
Would the Space Marines be immensely annoyed if she asked to see how they trained?
I'd say if you asked 100 of the Space Marines, 99 of them might just look at you and then burst into laughter. But what's
There is that
his-
Space Wolf.
Yeah, that's exactly the dude I was.
The one.
So watch Brother Class, the Space Wolf you interacted the most with on board the cruiser on your way to the Watch Fortress. He's absolutely delighted to train with you, and the rest of you for that matter.
Oh wow! Yeah, okay. Not
Yes.
passing up on that.
Certainly not.
So yeah, definitely. So if you want to spend some time training, you can do that with Class. And in fact,
She is smaller, but she's quick. She
Yeah.
might
I
actually
think-
even try.
I think. So
I imagine she'll come back with a ton of bruises because fuck, he's a cute guy.
I think Francesca is actually going to do something completely horrible and totally weird for people around her.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to crack a joke.
It happens.
And she's going to look at him at some point and say, "It's going to be a singular honor to get my ass handed to me by a Space Marine."
I think Accolon is right. Are you sure you want to train with me? And then she comes back looking like a punch bag thingy, just going, I regret nothing.
Yes. No. That was more in response to me making a genuinely terrible joke, but in the chat. But there you go.
But yeah, so
Training alongside him will be an enlightening experience.
She will have the widest grin all through all the training sessions.
Yes, and bruises and cuts
And bruises.
scrapes. Yeah.
Who cares?
Also, yes, I'm trying to think. Aren't Space Wolves one of the few Space Marine chapters? I say chapters; they're a lot bigger than a chapter. Who have members that aren't automatically chem-gelded as part of their initiation? I can't remember.
So I believe so. Yes.
This one is Chem Guild.
Yeah, obviously he's Death Watch. I think there are certain requirements.
Requirements there.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I imagine also that you get a chance to witness this kill team in action as they do various exercises as a unit, and you get to witness that, and you get to see Space Marines in action because they do have these live fire exercise ranges. And that is a sight to behold, because you fought alongside guardsmen previously.
I'm pretty good guardsman for that.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. But this is a whole different ball game.
Yes.
No comparison whatsoever.
No.
Yes.
I think
There will be cheering from the sidelines.
I think Francesca is going to crack yet another joke,
Oh no! What is
Yes.
this place doing to her?
and she's going to look at the others and say, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have our new standard set for us.
Oh,
This is what we must work to attain."
That
I think
And-
they're
and-
not realizing it's a joke. Will just go, hell yeah, let's do it.
I think Francesca's going to feel slightly foolish now that the joke has backfired on her.
no, so,
Medea just grinning widely, not realizing the limitations of her own form.
I appreciate the attempt at humor, Francesca, but yes, reaching that level would no.
It would require that we were actually the Emperor's Angels of Death.
I mean,
Aww.
yes, I mean, I'm too thin and weedy, and the rest of you are far too female for that. I feel.
Medea pouts. That's just unfair. I want a penis.
I think just keep quiet.
Francesca just looks at her and says, "When we get back to the tricorn, I'm sure you can get several."
I'd be careful how I'd be careful.
Want to be a man.
Look, I'd be careful how much you desperately want one. That way leads to that way leads to the kind of body that belongs only to those in the thrall of.
I was thinking that I thought that she wanted. Oh, okay, right. I get it. I think Francesca was just thinking that she wanted to get laid.
Now
No.
Medea looks confused. Why is it wrong wanting to be a man?
I mean, it's not wrong. I mean, it kind of isn't, but you know,
The God Emperor gave you the form that you have for a reason.
Poop.
Oh dear. Yeah.
What? Help me not to swear. Poop. That's not swearing.
No, it's good. It's very good. I'm actually quite proud of you, Medea, for that one.
Well, shit.
Stop setting a bad example,
Medea
Francesca.
is Francesca. Unfair.
You're meant to be our paragon of virtue and leadership, Francesca. Stop being a bad example.
Poot.
What?
Poot.
Right. I'm going somewhere
have
with.
humor installed.
I think she feels decidedly better about life now that this has been taken care of.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Hey,
I'm just-
Prue.
Oh, I don't imagine Bruce there.
Oh.
No, she probably wouldn't be. She's dismantling stuff.
And reattaching elsewhere.
Yes, indeed.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Dismantle dog, reattach central nervous system.
yes. So assume that for the duration of your stay here in the Watch Fortress, if you want to get in touch with Prue, you're going to have to seek her out. You know where she is, but you're going to
Yeah.
have to actively seek her out.
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable.
I think Medea will, visit Prue a couple of times. But when they start screeching at each other, she'll just go back with a confused look.
Yeah.
Think?
I honestly believe that if Akalon needs to speak to Prue, he will send someone else, because if he goes there, he'll have to be in front of Kaikor, and Kaikor will kill him. So,
Or
Best-
dismantle him.
I mean, yes, I
In the case of a fleshy living thing, no difference.
yes, it's just that the fleshy living thing complains a lot more in the
Yes.
moment, obviously.
Yes. Which means that in the end it ends up being dead anyway.
I'm getting flashbacks to Call of Duty Black Ops 3 now.
Cool.
So
Yes. We're coming up on our first break, so we'll just do that. We'll take a break and then we'll be right back. We'll see what happens.